fantastic. You've got pole position.
That was awesome, guys. Mega job. Great job.
And that's it for sprint qualifying. Plenty more coming up over the rest of the weekend. So we'll see you all tomorrow. Welcome to today's sprint. This is shaping up to be another fantastic weekend. We're here in the Yangtze River Delta today, home of the 16 corners that make up the Shanghai International Circuit. 54% of this 3.3-mile lap is taken at full throttle, and we'll be getting up to speeds of around 200 miles per hour with DRS assistance down the back straight, before the cars brake into the tight hairpin at turn 14. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting sprint. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, and Nico Hülkenberg completes the front row. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Russell, Fernando Alonso, Max Verstappen and Sainz, Tsunoda, Norris, Leclerc and Alex Albon, Antonelli, Piastri, Lance Stroll and Gasly, Doohan, Bortoleto, Esteban Ocon and Liam Lawson, Behrman and Isaac Hadjar rounds off the grid. And with preparations almost complete, let's head trackside for today's sprint. And alongside me today, a man who I'm always pleased to see join me in the commentary box, Anthony Davidson. As we all know, every single driver wants to know what's required of them. And in the case of this driver, I think things are pretty stable at the moment. They're doing what the team require.
Well, that's the thing, as a driver, it's easy to feel like you're the individual. It's all about you. And, you want to further your career the best you can. But you have to have the team hat on as well and play the team game, work with your teammate as best you can. It's not an easy balance to figure out.
Okay, mate. Radio check, please. Radio check.
Radio check.
Okay, here we go. I know what you can do. Don't let me down. DRS now enables. DRS enabled. Okay, this is your final lap of the race.
Checkered flag.
Yes, yes, come on, we're on the podium. Good job this weekend. That's a great drive, thank you.
I need a cold drink, mate.
So that wraps up the sprint race, but there's still more action yet to come this weekend. We've got qualifying and, of course, the Grand Prix. Welcome along to Shanghai, ladies and gentlemen, where it's Chinese Grand Prix weekend. But before we can race, we need to qualify. And who's going to take that coveted pole position? How will our grid line up? We're about to find out. Welcome to qualifying.
Okay, good job, mate. Really, really well done. That was a fantastic drive. Bring it home.
Great job.
It's time again then for Formula One in Shanghai. Northwest of the thriving city of over 24 million people is a circuit that first featured in the championship calendar back in 2004. It played host to Formula One's 1000th Grand Prix back in 2019. We start a lap here at Shanghai with the long, difficult right-handers of turns 1 and 2, the first of 16 corners that make up this 3.3-mile circuit. The incredibly long back straight provides the best passing opportunity of the lap, with speeds in excess of 200 miles per hour before we head into the braking zone of turn 14. So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. An immense lap from Lewis Hamilton yesterday puts him on pole position, edging out Max Verstappen, who'll start from P2. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Piastri, Norris, Charles Leclerc and Ocon, Fernando Alonso, Russell, Sainz and Alex Albon, Hülkenberg, Gasly, Gabriel Bortoleto and Antonelli, Tsunoda, Lawson, Jack Doohan and Lance Stroll. Hadjar and Ollie Behrman rounds off the grid. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track where preparations are underway. And alongside me in the commentary box, my old friend, Anthony Davidson. As we all know, every single driver wants to know what's required of them. And in the case of this driver, I think things are pretty stable at the moment. They're doing what the team require.
Well, that's the thing, as a driver, it's easy to feel like you're the individual. It's all about you. And, you want to further your career the best you can. But you have to have the team hat on as well and play the team game, work with your teammate as best you can. It's not an easy balance to figure out.
Radio check, please. Radio check.
Radio check.
Okay, here we go. I know what you can do. Don't let me down. Okay, DRS is now available. Good job, that was the fastest lap of the race so far. Okay, Lewis, we've got some clear track in front of us, and let's make the best of it. So please make this next one a very fast lap.
There you go. Thanks, mate.
Okay, no issues with tyre wear for now. Keep taking care of them. Okay, really, really good. You hit that target nicely. There's a long way to go in this race, so let's keep it clean. Okay, final lap. Let's go. Final lap.
checkered flag.
Great work, lads. Great work. What a result for the team. So happy for you all and so grateful to you all. Let's keep pushing. This is super positive.
And as we've said so many times in the past, the checkered flag is out for our winner, Lewis Hamilton.
And that's 2 wins in a row now, of course, Crofty. And it marks the fact that it's not a fluke. So, you know, their head's in the right space. What more can we see going forwards?
From lights out to the checkered flag, each and every driver has this moment in the back of their mind. Now it's time for their celebrations. Our podium, it awaits. And back on the top spots that he's taken so often in the past. So well done to Lewis Hamilton. After an event like that, who knows what the sport has in store for us next time out? Be sure to join us once again as we continue to bring you all the excitement of Formula One.
Upgrades can be purchased by you and your teammate, so remember to play nice. Okay, here's where you're going to purchase and manage your upgrades for each department. If a part fails development, you can also come here to restart and finalise it, but just don't ever go at me when you do. As you develop parts, you're going to unlock access to more. Highlighting locked upgrades will tell you what's required to gain access to it. For each department, you can quickly view which perks are available as a result of your relationship with our specialists and your current recognition within the team.
Suzuka is an old-school favourite, an old seat of motorsport and a place where so many champions have been crowned. Let's get the weekend started then. It's practice in Japan.
Okay, radio check, radio check.
Radio check.